Good morning and welcome to our board meeting today. We have one topic, which is to ask the staff to give us a status update about some technical inquiries on credit losses and what they're doing to support implementation. Before we start the deliberation and discussion, I'd like to introduce the next FASB chair, Rich Jones. Rich is been in the accounting profession and well known for a number of years. He comes to us as formerly the chief accountant of Ernst & Young. And consistent with all new members of the board, we bring them on before their actual term so that they can participate in board meetings, get to know the staff, and be up to date and be ready to go on the beginning of his term. So Rich, welcome, and we're glad you're here.
Thanks, Russ. Glad to be here.
Okay, with that, we'll turn it over to Jay to lead us through the discussion.
Thanks, Russ. So the CECL team wanted to share with the board a status update on CECL. In particular, we wanted to talk about a technical inquiry we received and just give you a brief update on the workshops. So beginning with the technical inquiry, the staff received a technical inquiry on freestanding instruments, and we wanted to provide the board with an overview of the question that was raised, as well as the staff response. So in today's board memo handout is a robust summary of the question and the staff response. So we won't read the entire document, but we did want to highlight just 3 items. So a group of accounting firms had reached out to the FASB staff regarding the accounting for recoveries from freestanding insurance contracts covering credit losses on financial instruments under Topic 326. The question raised by these accounting firms is whether it would be appropriate to recognize an insurance recovery asset at the same time an insured expected credit loss is recorded under the CECL standard. The scope of the inquiry was limited to certain freestanding insurance contracts, including lender-paid and investor-paid mortgage insurance, lender loss participation, and pool insurance. In addition, these freestanding insurance contracts meet the scope exception from applying derivative accounting for certain insurance or certain financial guarantee contracts, as noted in paragraph 815, 10, 15-13C, and 13D. And they pass the risk transfer test of subtopics 340-30 and 944-20. Subject to meeting the scope exception from applying derivative accounting for certain insurance and certain financial guarantees and passing the risk transfer test in subtopics 340-30 and 944-20, the FASB staff concluded that it would be appropriate for an insurance recovery asset to be recognized at the time of recording expected credit losses under Topic 326. Alternatively, the staff noted that other views, such as recording an insurance recovery asset on an incurred basis, are also appropriate. Because this is not a decision-making meeting, we'll just simply turn it back over to the board for discussion.
Thanks. I was hoping to engage in dialogue with the board, consistent with some other types of questions that have come in, not only on credit losses, but at least throughout the time as we support implementation. But are there any questions about the transactions or the staff's views? Jim?
So one thing, thanks for the update. I think helpful in the detailed summary. I think is also very helpful. I think it illustrates that the sort of the if there is risk transfer, and I think that's an important assumption. You talked about some others, that it meets the scope exceptions from derivative accounting, that we would accept. I think the more economic answer, which is, and we think it's supportable, that you would recognize the insurance proceeds at the timing of the loss. I think you do acknowledge that people might have another view that the loss would be on, or the recovery would be on an incurred loss basis, and I think you're clear that we couldn't object to that approach. The one thing I think is important to me, and I think it's highlighted in the last paragraph, which is that the presentation of this is not net. And I think that's the piece to me that CECL was dealing with, is you can't offset your loss. It didn't mean economically. I think it was, to me, that was more of a presentation notion, that you don't have a contract just between two counterparties. Here, there's a third counterparty, and I think you're clear that that presentation needs to be a gross presentation. That's right?
That's correct.
Okay. That was the only, I thought that's how I read it. Just want to make sure that was clear to people.
Those that had these transactions prior to implementation of CECL that were doing the mirroring approach, they showed it net. So that is the substantial, or is that practice mixed prior to CECL?
My understanding is they were still showing it gross.
Still showing gross. Okay. But these transactions did exist. My understanding was multiple years ago. This
Correct.
is
So-
not a new transaction that's being established.
Yeah.
Decades ago. Okay.
Effectively,
Yeah.
this is an existing practice question. So people have been doing this in the past. They were following the mirroring approach, as you referred to,
Okay.
and now they just wanted to make sure that practice can continue as follows.
Okay. During your process to arrive at your conclusions, what types of stakeholders did you consult with other than those that have raised the question?
So we spoke to a group of large financial institutions, so large banks. We spoke to the accounting firms, we spoke to regulators. Their views were this is consistent with the existing practice. This is something that they were comfortable with, understanding that the mirroring approach was a view. There are other acceptable views, such as the incurred loss method. They were comfortable with that.
Anything else? So do you do you have any other substantive questions that you're working on at this time, or I have one other questions about the workshop?
There are no major or substantive issues that we're working on right now for credit losses. So this was something we wanted to give you an update on because the one last item we're majorly working.
Okay, and then any status update on the workshops to promote the implementation of CECL?
So the workshops have been going on for about the last 6 months. We've done 10 workshops in 7 states. The plan for 2020, we've done 2 already. The plan is to do 6 more workshops for the year. We're not stopping at 6. 6 is what we've confirmed for so far. Some of these have had to shift to being webinars instead of in-person meetings. But the plan will be to do some more workshops. We're working with other state agencies, state CPA societies, other regulators, and other groups of banking groups to kind of facilitate a workshop in their jurisdiction in other jurisdictions. So we're hoping to have more. We're hoping to get up to 8 or 9 for the rest of the year, but right now we're at 6.
Okay. Any questions about the workshops, Christine?
And those workshops are targeting smaller banks and financial institutions primarily?
Yeah, the workshops have ranged over across a wide spectrum. So we've met with examiners, regulators, we met with inspectors and accounting firms. We've also met with small community banks and credit unions specifically. We're trying to make sure anyone who wants a workshop, we are providing staff and making sure we're attending those. We are trying to do more with banks and the credit union specifically. We have some scheduled. Those are kind of meetings that are already in place that we're just going to be attending. So we're hoping that more of those pop up. So if people do want us to do a workshop in their area or for banks in their area, they should reach out to the team. We're happy to do it.
And just for those that may be listening today, if the schedule's on the website and if they want to attend something that's on the website, they can just reach out.
So the schedule is on the website for whatever workshops we have confirmed. Some of the folks have asked to keep the workshop private because it's only for internal staff. So, it's not for outsiders to come in and join. So there's no registration form. But other agencies and groups that have live registrations have provided links on their webpage. So to the extent that people want to attend those and they're willing to travel, then
Great. Well, thank you. I know it's a lot of work you've been doing to help facilitate the implementation, the workshops, answering questions like this. And those of you listening, the board and the staff are ready to assist in any way we can, not only in this standard, but in other standards as they are being implemented and applied. So if there are questions that stakeholders have, please work through our technical inquiry process or the staff to be able to facilitate that implementation. Hal, I know you've been proactively engaging with TRG members recently. And Shane, or sorry, Jay.
We confuse the two of them all
We
the time.
confuse the two of them all the time. Jay
That's
talked about how we don't have questions, but anything new?
No,
from
I've
the
been
TRG
doing
perspective?
a little bit of outreach myself, and really the same response.
Okay.
No questions are being handled internally at each institution.
Great.
And I've talked to not only large, but small as well.
Great. Okay. Anything else? Rich, I'm sure our future board members will be board meetings will be longer than this one, but yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, great. We're adjourned.